Things are a little different down here in the South. I will expect you men to obey the racial code.
Yes, sir.
Get back with the others.
Just go ahead and drive this machine.
Officer Cross.
This a white man's world. Every man here has got a lit fuse.
Hey there, Jim.
Hey, Lorenzo, what's going on?
Nothing much.
Good to see you. Look at your setup. Where are you at?
I'm at the house. This is my Zoom room.
Man, I like it. You got it better than I got going. I was been trying to figure out to have a room like that too.
I'll shoot you some tips after. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm a tech guy. I love tech, graphics cards, computers, all that kind of stuff.
I just kind of devoted for because I moved into a new place and I have an extra room. So I'm trying to set up like a green screen and all this, but so far it's not going that well. So
Yeah. Hey, you'll get there. It took a while because actually I just moved here also. So I was like, I gotta get myself again, do interviews and stuff. But
that's cool. Yeah. No, especially now with all this Zoom stuff going on, you kind of need a spot, I just got myself that ring light like a week ago, so
yeah, it's definitely important, man.
How's everything with you?
Things are good. Just excited about the film coming out and stuff.
Yep.
It's been a while waiting for a role like this and stuff, and so it's been a good journey. It's I'm not as it's not as bad for me being stuck in the house because I'm a writer, so I'm just like it's extra time to
So hey, you guys are always kind of stuck at some place.
Yeah, exactly. So
Writers and editors.
Other people go out. I didn't know they go outside.
Where are you at? What state?
I'm in Georgia, in Atlanta.
Oh, you're in Georgia? Okay. Are you from there?
I guess you could say I was born in Miami, and then my mother moved to Tuskegee for a bit. Then I grew up pretty much in Columbus, Georgia, and then we moved here to Atlanta. My mother wanted to find more opportunity and stuff for us, so moved here, and I think I've been here probably the longest time in my life now. So I'm from here now. I don't know how that works.
And Atlanta, now these days, that's a place where a lot of stuff gets filmed. So it's probably outside of LA, one of the best, LA, Vancouver, and probably Atlanta are top three right there.
Yeah, because at first I was like, it was really slow here back in like 2005 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, maybe I got to make that move to LA. And then the industry moved here. I was like, yep, right in time.
Yeah. And now, I just left LA. I was living there until like a month ago. I'm back home in Chicago, kind of with family for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So I'm like, yeah, LA, it's rough out there with COVID and just like really everything just being done through Zoom anyway. So not much going on there. Pretty much I've talked to PR people and everything pretty much for the rest of the year. It's just, probably things slowly start popping up, but we're already almost in September. So, this year kind of flew by in a crazy way.
It did. It's like it's going by slow and fast at the same time.
Yeah. It's like, I think it was like March through like May went slow. And then June, July, and August just flew, like the summer basically went by quick. Exactly. Summer's what disappeared. I'm like, damn, we're almost pretty much at the end of the summer.
I haven't even jumped in the pool.
Hey, I didn't do that until I got home to Chicago, and I actually went last week twice. So that's my part of summer right there. That's like my big thing for the summer.
I still got to do it. I'm
good. Well, hey, I saw the film and hell of a performance. Okay, I'm gonna ask some questions there about your character, Lucky. I spoke to Trey and I spoke to Kevin this week too. So I got a full loadout of the film from a lot of perspectives. And tell me how you got involved with the film, because I didn't know until I talked to both Trey and Kevin. Like they wrote this film as Kevin was a student, Trey was Kevin's student at Kansas. It just blew my mind in so many ways. Tell me kind of how you're involved. Were you a student too, or it seems like Kevin likes doing that?
I wasn't a student, me being a storyteller, I'm not gonna make it long, but I was shooting an audition for my brother, and he was doing an audition, and the audition came through while I was finishing his. I was like, wait, before you go, let me shoot this audition real quick. And I was like a quick turnaround, and it was an audition tape I sent in, and got word that I booked it. I think I did the first audition, then they asked me to do audition for another role, so I got 2 takes into them. I guess maybe they could see some more of my range, and got the call that I booked it. And I think I started work like a day before my birthday, so that was cool. Wow. It was like a good birthday gift. Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys shot in the Carolinas over there, so
Uh-huh.
not too far from your home base, you know,
No,
familiar
not.
territory.
I even drove back one weekend. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah.
You know what, the thing about this film, and it just like I love Kevin's work because it's always so authentic, and he's such a historian. You know, when we talked about just like he even told me being a educator and like a history buff. I mean, these stories that he tells are rooted in truth in so many ways.
Right.
Your character, especially that final scene where you're just those tears are streaming. Tell me, how did you pull? I thought it was so impressive. That was such a strong scene in a movie, and it kind of rested on you right there. You know, first of all, I was trying to kind of gauge it. Did you sell out your kind of your friends there, or did they kind of push you to give them up? Like I was wondering, was
Yeah.
he crying because he kind of felt like he was selling him out and he was, saving himself in that way because they all kind of wanted to vouch for them, to be, in a sense they wanted to take ownership of it, or he did it because they kind of pushed him to say these names.
Well, and my understanding of it, Lucky, not Yucky, Lucky is like the youngest, and so he's like the one that, the innocent one that everybody, that friend that's just a good friend, and you want to
Yep.
look out for him. He's not usually getting into trouble, and so it's like, to me, it was like a 2 and 2 that the officers wanted, somebody to snitch on them and give them up, and that was the only way that I guess everyone was going to die, and also it was kind of like agreement that he kind of had with Boston. That's why he looks at Boston.
Yep.
And Boston shakes his head like, yeah, just save yourself. Because you got so much life to live. So, save yourself or whatever. So it wasn't that he was like a snitch, like, let me save my own tail. He was kind of pushing it from his friend in Boston and also from the other side of law enforcement to, get these men, killed, inevitably.
Mm-hmm.
But so, yeah, that's what that kind of was.
Yeah, and they
So
all
I'm looking for the memes like, oh, Lucky's a snitch. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, momentarily, I kind of thought about like, no, they were all so in it together. That final scene when they all kind of had that by the train track over there. They had that kind of conversation, their goodbye. It was like decided then in so many ways. That was so powerful in that context. How much did you know about the actual history of this event? Because obviously it's rooted and based in truth, but how much did you know? How much did you have to do research on it? And how much did Kevin kind of fill you in on it with Trey?
I mean, I knew most people, I knew absolutely nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing about it. When they sent me the story, of course, and it's crazy. It's like, like there's so much information on the internet and books, but if you don't look for it, you won't find it. But
right.
When they told me about it, I Googled it thinking I'm going to, struggle searching for it. Of course, maybe not there wasn't as much as on other subjects, but there was like videos. Everyone like, wait a minute, I never came across this before, but there was definitely information on it. So I researched it on YouTube and stuff, and it's crazy. But there's a lot of, as we know in this country, there's a lot of history that's hidden and that we don't know about. So no, I had no idea about any of this.
You know what? I saw so many like little takeaways from this film that I learned about. Like I told Kevin, like, films like this teach you, and especially him being kind of an educator, it's like a perfect segue to that. And I wasn't aware the friction that existed between the dark-skinned, African Americans and the lighter skin, like the character of Boston. He goes at it with, he got that hatred in the beginning because he was lighter skinned. I was not aware of that. Like it just kind of blew my mind that stuff went on amongst each other, in these groups. I mean, they're supposed to be tight and together, and yet they were frictioning. That blew me away. Was that something too that kind of was eye-opening? And I love how they put that into the film, that scene especially.
Me being when here's a little of my backstory. Like I said, for lack of better words, I grew up in the hood, so I know a lot of stuff, and that's what my mother wanted to get us out of that lifestyle and bring us to Atlanta with opportunity. But it's something that I've known about my entire life. It's colorism is what they call it, between light and dark skins, and it's we sometimes pit ourselves against one another for no reason, just because of the color of skin, just like black and white. And just like it was a shock to you, I remember when I was in college, I tried to work a 9 to 5, but I made my way through college doing nanny work, or male nanny. Mm-hmm. And when I got into that world, the same for me. I was like, wait a minute, to me, you're all white, but to you, you're white and you hate him because he's a Jew, but to me, he looks just like you. I'm like, oh, that's how that works. Like, some of the kids I was working with, they had problems at school because they were Jewish. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that thing existed. To me, you guys all it was the same. I think you guys are in one boat, but there's so much of that stuff that goes on in the world, and I think it's really nonsense. But
Yeah,
it is.
it's crazy though. Even back then when yet the oppression is so strongly rooted, and yet there's friction in the community, African American community too, against each other, which it's wow. It was eye opening to me in so many ways. Trey kind of shared a story about how he was, I think during a shoot, when he was, I think in college, and he had a girl follow him throughout this small town because he went to a barber. I think he was shooting one of his first films or whatnot, Rose, when he was in college. And the girl was like, he was like, man, this chick's following me all around town. And then when he went to the barber, she walked in and she said, you're cute, but you don't look like everyone in this town. And this was a black girl,
Right.
and he was like, sorry, he's like, what? Like that, he was like himself because he was lighter skinned, and it's just crazy how it still like happens, and we're not talking about like in the early 1900s. This is Trey's personal experience, so it's crazy how different cities and towns and how the mentality still exists, and
Definitely. I mean, like I say, even to this day, yeah.
what was something you took away? I mean, this is kind of your big role. Like this is your biggest film I think you've done in a sense,
Yeah.
Largest scale production in that ways. What is something that really stood out to you working either on set or even off set that kind of hit home to you or stayed with you that you realized through being part of this project?
Oh, a number of things. I say one, I worked my way up through the ropes. A lot of people don't want to, starting with extra work. I did a lot of standing work because I shoot and produce also and write. So I did a lot of standing work to learn stuff behind the scenes. So being a stand-in on a lot of projects, work the 18-hour days and all that kind of stuff. But until your first team, and they're constantly saying first team, you're like, whoa, this is a whole different type of fatigue, because you're really there all the time standing. I mean, you're sitting down sometimes and doing work but when you're first team, and I definitely feel for crew too, hats off the crew who are always pretty much standing. It's a different when you're working those hours and you're just always have to have your attention there. Just lots of, like, I've been around a lot of sets, but I think that's one of the main things that stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was ready for it, but it's like it was a little bit more than I thought. But
and you guys had a fairly quick shoot too,
right,
in that instance too. So it's constantly moving, in that sense. You just can't. If there's a luxury working like 4 or 5 months on a movie versus doing it in 3 weeks or a little over a month. It's a whole different speed and process in that way too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was kind of blown away by the town, like the setting of it. It looked so true to what I would imagine it being. The communities, the houses, the little towns. Like, how was that being part of it? Like, you're in costume, and then you go into the set, in a sense that you guys shot obviously on location.
Right.
How much did it help you kind of bring you into the mentality of the character and like, wow, this looks like kind of like a different world?
It's it helps in a way, and like I said, definitely it was. You almost think they built a set, but I think that town is preserved in that way for a purpose, for historical purposes. But for me, I don't know how to say this, and I hope it doesn't sound any type of way, but for me, once I pretty much know what the character is, like I could be in the middle of nowhere and it doesn't matter to me. I'm more like a character actor, and I guess most people describe it as Meisner or whatever, but I'm like a deep empath. So I can make myself pretty much, it sounds lunatic, but I can make myself believe that I'm actually what I'm trying to play. And so, I mean, the setting kind of helps, but I didn't really need it. But it was definitely beautiful. It was definitely beautiful seeing all the preserved history. And it's like, you thought that set dressing came in and did that. And they're like, no, the people just preserved this, this area, they have to preserve it that way. But it's definitely interesting. You felt like you went back in time.
Yeah, it looked like it. And when you hear it's not a set, then it's like, wow, that adds to the story, and it almost gives it a character of itself,
Right.
like the whole location in that sense. It seemed to me like this would be a close-knit set and group, Kevin and Trey, their relationship. What was it like kind of on set day to day? What sort of friendships did you form? What did you take out of that experience, just being around the guys and the crew and everyone else there?
Everybody, man, it sounds like this is the thing about me. I don't probably interview like other people. I don't try to fluff anything, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart that it actually everybody was cool. The veterans, Thomas Hayden, Michael T. especially.
Right.
And one thing I could say about Kevin and Trey, especially Trey is really down to earth. We were moving to another location and we moved hotels, and he just like insisted on helping me get my computer into my hotel room and help me carry my stuff in from the car. And he's just real down to earth. And I said, being a writer and producer myself, when I have my sets, I do want to take away that edge that's sometimes on set, between, crews and maybe sometimes not on this set, but sometimes gaffers, not treating the grips right. Or like, I love that I felt everybody was respected and, treated with respect on the set. And it seems like, it has to start from the top down. And Kevin and Trey really set that environment that everybody was respected and felt important. No matter if it's your first day on set, bottom PA, or at least, to my understanding or whatever, because I am looking from the outside in on them. But it seemed that everybody was treated well. And I think that's how all sets should be, because it's a team effort. I don't care if that PA just came, this is their first job, or somebody's an extra. I believe in treating everybody with respect. You shouldn't have to be a hole to say I'm important or whatever like that. But Trey and Kevin really set that tone for the set. And everybody really, like I say, even the veterans, but everybody was really cool. Really
That's
cool.
what makes a shoot, go by, because there's a lot of stress on a shoot, especially if you don't have much time to film. But people like maybe at home and stuff like, just like viewers who are watching, and we don't understand sometimes how not a good set can impact a production. You know what I mean? And as a producer, and like a bad apple on a set can completely ruin the whole project in a lot of ways.
I bet it happens.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy to think it's that sort of it's the relationship. Relationships are so important, working with people you can trust, working people you can be friendly with. I mean, that pushes a project, and it shows on screen too. A lot of times, like you can sense the camaraderie and sometimes the chemistry on screen if it's a close knit set in so many ways.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
What do you like to do for fun? I'm always curious asking this question. What are some things like hobbies? Because you obviously wear every hat. You do some producing, writing, acting, directing, a little bit of everything. That's good to have, and even editing, right? So
yeah.
You do it all in that sense. But what do you kind of do to clear your mind or get away from all that? Because I know editing myself, that stuff can get mind-boggling. You feel like your brain's fried sometimes,
Yeah.
What are some hobbies and interests that you have that you like to do kind of outside of the industry work?
Yeah, I try to get away from it. Like I said, I'm really heavy into tech and researching tech and what new tech stuff is coming out. I play basketball. I love basketball. It's probably my first love. I remember some of my friends or people I grew up with in the test. I was like dunking. I was like 5'5". I was dunking on people who were like 6'2".
What? You had Nate Robinson hops.
Yeah. So it's funny because I grew after 20 or 21. I thought I was done. I grew a couple of more inches. But basketball, I love working out. I haven't been working out much lately. I've been running more so. I love running now. Just trying to stay in shape, trying to stay young. I think a lot of times we use the excuse that, I'm getting older, so it's just going to happen. And then you see some 65-year-old guy that's just on the track, and you're like, no, I got to keep it together. So
that's a perspective that you go to the gym like, and then you see someone like in their 50s or 60s like lifting weights and like, oh man, I got to step up my game here.
Yeah, you have no excuse. They got double your age, so there's no excuse. And music too. I'm a musician, so I love music. I play piano and organ.
Oh, cool.
All that kind of stuff. Kind of after one of my idols, I guess you say. Maybe I should use the word idols. But Jamie Foxx, I'm a big fan of Jamie, and I think he's so underrated. He does drama, comedy, plays piano. He does comedy. It's like
music. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the shows I love the most, he did an after show thing. It's on YouTube, and he's in Oakland, California, and he does this whole comedy bit while playing the piano, and it's the best. It's legendary.
I mean, I always felt like, what a unique talent he is to do the music and succeed at it too. go mainstream,
exactly.
And
not just good for an actor. He actually succeeded. Yeah.
Like he went actually mainstream with his music. Very few have done it. J-Lo's done it, but that, list is few and far between. You watching NBA playoffs now? I mean, it's.
I'm a big Lakers fan, but I have not been able to watch like really this year or last year. I've been kind of slacking. I'm just trying to build this career, and I was always studying and writing. And one thing I didn't with screenwriting, you think you know what you're doing because you're creative, but it's a process and a psychology you have to learn behind it. So I've been spending most of my time there, just trying to get my life where I want it. As far as acting and writing and stuff, and you just got to put that time in. Sometimes you can't do the things you want to do.
That's right. That's the work. People like to think about like, oh, I want to do this and this, but then the work comes, and you got to put in that time and give up, make sacrifices. That's
all my friends are like, Lorenzo, I want to be an actor too. And there's, some of them seen the film already, and they're like, man, you did that good. I was like, yeah, I had to do about 12 or 16 times. And they're like, yeah, you don't just do it one time and you're out. Like, you got to stay there. And I was, telling my friends, it was kind of a dark day for me, having to go to that place, and you're doing it for 12 hours. And even I thought I was so-called, ready. I thought I was more ready than I was, but it takes a lot out of you, especially when you fully commit to it. But I love roles that you really commit and immerse yourself in. I call it a line reciter. Like, I don't want to be one of those line reciters, like, sex symbol, best friend type of actor. I love meaty roles that are very dramatic. Like I told somebody, the Antoine Fishers, the Radio. I love roles like that, character roles and stuff. So yeah, once you immerse yourself in there, it's work. It's not just remembering lines.
No. I mean, you got it. Like, come on, doing that. That was authentic crying too,
Yeah, it was dark places. I think myself a little too dark sometimes, but you learn as you go. You learn.
And that stuff that takes a lot to bring that much emotion and power into a role. You got to go some places, and it's a process. It just doesn't happen overnight with a snap of your, like, you don't make yourself cry like that. You need to do a lot of kind of searching, soul searching, and a lot of things to bring this to reality, to make it believable for the viewer,
Right. And I tell people too, it's not just, I think a lot of people get hung up on it like it's a magic trick. It's not about making tears fall or the crying. It's the place you are in the inside first. And if that comes with it, then it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't have to come. You don't have to cry, as long as you are really in that moment and you're really immersed in that character. And that's what's mostly important. But I mean, to put myself in a place where I told myself that, see, I'm almost going there now, the empath in me. But to tell myself that these are all my friends, these are all my real friends, and you put a face of a real friend in real life on these people, and you tell yourself, I'm the reason they're all about to get hanged. Like, you can't, that's not a light burden. Like, you really there. And I'm like weeping. I've had friends, unfortunately, killed because of police brutality. So, all that stuff is with me. I have a real history where it is concerning the material in the script. So that's the places I went to for that.
And you have to, and you know what, like, one thing we both know, the camera doesn't lie. It shows everything, it will catch everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta stay with it in so many ways. That's the cool thing. I was going to ask you about the music too, go back to it. What sort of, you played a piano. Have you ever thought about kind of maybe starting your own stuff when it comes to music, or you're more doing it for fun? Like, what's kind of the level when it comes to that?
Well, music came to me as an escape as a child. Some stuff I don't know if I want to talk about right now, but it was escape. I play in the church and stuff like that. But I a lot of times God gives you gifts in life and you don't know why you use it. I used to think my main goal was to be a musician, but I think he gives us different gifts for our ultimate purpose. And it was the hardest thing for me about 6 years ago to tell myself, like, you weren't put here to be a musician, but it's a part of who you are. And so, like, even now I do the music for my films, my short films. I really haven't written anything today. Everything's been kind of competition based with my short films. So nothing really narrative like, but I do the music for my films. I arranged some music for Being Mary Jane a couple of years back too. So, composing music, but once I have my full production company, to understand what the job is of the composer and to have a respect for it. I think a lot of things in this industry, everybody has worked alongside each other. And they'll tell you, I've been in the industry 20 years, but they haven't gained a respect for what the other person is doing, what the gaffer's doing, the grip, for what working trucks is doing, for what hair and makeup is doing. And I've allowed myself to do all those jobs and have a larger respect for them. I'm not saying who's the most important department, so I think music is one of those things for me to realize it is very important in film. So important, not to overdo it, but not to do it too little. That's why I think it fits in with me.
Oh, that's, I really respect that fact that you're studying the craft all around like what takes to make a movie, not just, what we see on screen, there's so many parts to make the machine work, and that's really cool that you're really kind of studying and observing and kind of growing in that sense and observing everyone who has a part in it, you know? So then when you want to one day direct or you know, fully produce something on a bigger scale, on a large scale, you can have a hand in all these things and understand, and you know what I mean, that will make your project so much more richer and you know, healthier in that sense. So that's really cool that you're learning it from the inside out, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you have to, and that's, I don't know if you're on it, but I think it's hilarious. There's a group on Facebook called Movie Set Memes, but it was this one guy that came on there some time ago, and he was like, actors make the damn movie or something like that. And it's like, actors, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, and you know, everybody's important. I'm not saying actors aren't important, but there's so many people working to make you look good. You know, if the right lens is not on there, you may not look good. So you got to respect all these people. You're not just a superstar. And, you know, I think that's the thing with me. I have such a huge respect for crew, writers, editors, and everybody. And you have to have that. And people respect that you respect what they do. And that makes them want to work with you more. So it's it's very important. Very important.
Those relationships, you know, this industry at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, you know?
Right. Exactly.
And that's how you build them, you know, because one thing leads to another. Anything you've been watching, any shows or movies during this whole time, anything that stuck with you that you enjoyed?
Oh man, it's been a lot of moving lately.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I finished Ozark.
That's a good one.
Man, I just realized how busy I've been. I think, well, for one, I thought we had a little bit more time before we released and stuff. So it sounds boring, but I've been doing a lot of writing and studying and stuff and trying to revamp some of the scripts I'm working on. So I haven't been watching much lately. And I know when you're in the industry, you're always supposed to be watching what's going on or what's happening, but I really haven't had much of a chance.
But you're studying the industry, so that's a whole different.
Yeah. I'm going back to some of the greats that I love and, you know, and studying those scripts and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we're in such an unprecedented, I mean, 2020 has just been so crazy and wild. Where do you think it's like, as now as a performer and even like a citizen of the country,
right,
where do you think we go from here? You know, because we're at I feel like we're at a tipping point, you know, and like with the industry, like what's next? The scale's got to move one way or the other because we can't continue the way we are. I mean, do you kind of observing the world? Do you have a take or think what kind of might lead to or what we might be going through next?
You know, like I think like everybody, I'm just hoping everything opens up. But I find it's funny you talk about, you know, how I feel what's going on, and maybe it's empath in me. I don't know if other people do it, but sometimes when I am watching stuff on TV, like I was watching some Key and Peele skits the other day. I'm a big fan of Jordan, and so I'm watching the skits, and there's like a rap battle, and I feel bad for the children growing up now. I started getting frantic because they were too close. And I forgot, like, I'm like, oh, why are they so close? And so I can imagine for a kid who's growing up right now, that's going to be kind of what they're used to, being, you know, kind of off. And I'm like, I've got a couple of years behind me. And for me to be watching a skit and I'm laughing and I get thrown off like, wait, they're too close. And I'm just like, I don't like that. I don't want us to be like that forever, scared to get near each other and, you know, have that close time with each other or whatever. You know, some people say we can do it because they don't take it seriously, but, you know, I don't want to take risks that will put other people's lives in danger.
Yep.
But I'm hoping that, you know, we can, you know, rid ourselves of this and get back to life as normal or better, really. But yeah, it's a lot going on. I'm just hoping things get back better again.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, maybe if this doesn't unite us as humans and everything, you know, around the world and in this country, what's going on with the protests and everything,
right?
You know, I don't know what else will. It almost seems like the world is telling us to change and to look inside, you know, and see what's going on, to take a pause in all of this and figure things out. So.
Right. I've been trying to do better with that myself. I pride myself on trying to be a balanced and non-biased person, but I feel like I have a degree of intellect, but the last 2 years have really shown me that I did a lot of things I was naive about to how other people are and stuff. And, you know, even just when you talk about Black Lives Matter, the fact that people are being made to believe that means only Black lives, and that's not what it means. Or, you know, one thing I'm still studying on, and I probably shouldn't be saying this already, but I remember growing up and history in school making me to believe that the Black Panthers were the Black version of the KKK. And I learned later that they were feeding people in the community and they were trying to protect their community. And it had history has been so mistold. And I realize now that Black Lives Matter has been villainized the same way. And it's like, because I used to think, well, how could that happen? But I'm seeing it real time, how people can be made to think like, oh, is this hate group? And I'm like, no, not quite. I know there's some company called Black Lives Matter, but this is more of a movement or a hashtag that we have going on over here. We don't know what they're doing, but people are being made to believe that, you know, Black Lives Matter hates them and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't realize how much the media can really, you know, and honestly on both sides, it's so propaganda led. But yeah, my mother didn't raise me that way, so I wasn't aware that other people were like that. And I'm just really trying to learn how to deal with it, because I'm a nice person, but at the same time, sometimes I can lash out and, you know, in frustration over misunderstandings and stuff. So I'm trying to understand where people are coming from, even though if I feel they're naive, and I'm trying to do better at that, you know.
I think that's well said. And you know what? I think if we kind of listen less to media and listen to ourselves and what, you know, we all know deep down inside what's right and wrong, you know,
right.
And what, you know, seems right and what feels right. I think if we all kind of stuck with our guts and treated everyone equally, treated everyone fairly, I think it's not an impossible thing to solve. You know, it just takes each individual kind of being sensible, you know, and doing the right thing in every aspect. I think that's how things unite eventually. You know, if we all put in a little bit of you know, sensibility and, in a sense, common sense, you know, and I think that's how, and compassion too, you know, and that's how things get solved. So, man, I really enjoyed your performance. Hell of a job. I mean, this is your kind of like breakout thing. You have a lot of good things heading your way, I feel.
I pray so. You know, it's like I say, no, I don't do this to be famous, but yeah, you want to be successful in what I'm very passionate about it.
It's your passion.
I love to do it. It's not about just collecting a check. Like I say, you want to pay the bills, but I want to, you know, grow myself in this industry and, you know, get on, you know, other projects. And, you know, I've been at this a while, and you know, I feel like with God's blessing, you know, that it's my time, and I'm ready to do more in the industry and get myself out there, make myself a household name, because I got stuff I want to put out there and feed to the world, you know.
And you know what the thing is, Lorenzo, that the more you put in the work, the more it's gonna happen. It takes time for everything, you know. But as long as you're staying at it and being honest to your passion and yourself, it eventually is going to come to fruition. You know, it's giving up. That's the things to hold you back. Giving up, not doing the work, you know, but as long as you stay passionate and doing what you believe in and the things and keep at it, things are going to open up. You know, you worked with Kevin on a film, you know, and Trey. I mean, we're talking about that. That's an opportunity many don't have, you know, won't have. So that's already a proof of fruition of your work right there.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
Work pays off, and it's cool to see that you're taking it very seriously and still passionate about it and seeing it from every realm. So I appreciate that, you know, as someone who's a creative, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, love the time. Thank you for giving me the time to talk to you. I'm glad we got to connect. Like I said, awesome job in the film, and I'm glad I got to talk to you because I wanted to ask those questions, you know, especially from the film. So now I got my answers.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, I might, and like I said, I'm gonna need some tips on how to do a good setup too. So
I got you. I'm definitely shoot Lisa an email and stuff, and we'll coordinate.
Yeah, I'll connect with you. She have us connected, and I definitely could use your expertise because you know what you're doing, and I'm trying to get there.
You got it.
All right, Lorenzo, stay safe, stay healthy, my friend, and keep on, you know, putting out the work there. So hopefully we get to talk real soon again, and you got something going for you again, something new.
Yes, sir.
All right, my friend. Thanks for your time. I'll talk to you soon. I'll be connecting with you.
All right. Take care, man.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
When I aimed the gun, I saw a man. He didn't see one back.